So most of you are in. We'll start. Okay. So the instruction is same. You can keep your mics on mute mode. This video cam, you can turn it on, turn it off. It is up to you. No issue. Right. So let's start. I hope you remember the portions we were dealing in the last class, right? Ormando, homework stays as such. There is no improvement, right? Only one, that is your Titi has done the homework, nobody else. Clear? Okay, keep going. The same homework continues. So we were discussing the dynamic aspect of climatology, right? And dynamic aspect, as you all know, we started with the Indian climate. Indian climate because Indian climate was the most complex one. Almost every dynamic dynamic part of your climatology, they affects Indian climate directly or indirectly. So while explaining this monsoon, while explaining this Indian climate, we are moving into individual dynamic areas, and we have already covered a few of them. Which are those few? We have initially started with something known as your western disturbances, right? We have seen some disturbances or moisture coming from the Mediterranean area. It reaches India and creates rainfall, winter rainfall in the northwestern part of India. We have dealt with that. Then we have seen there are some again atmospheric disturbances, and most importantly, the tropical cyclones that affects the Indian climate, and it relatively affects the monsoon also. The advancement of monsoon also it affects it. Then we have seen connected with that, we have seen something known as your temperate cyclone, right? Or we can say as this frontal cyclone. We have dealt with that, and we clearly studied these two topics. We have differentiated them clearly, right? We have clear cut. We have a difference. What are the things? And we have studied them with respect to certain slides. We'll just go through that very fast, and we'll move into the next area. Clear? So these are the portions we were dealing with. We initially dealt with precipitation and everything, right? Different types of rainfall and all this particular thing. This was our cyclonic rainfall. This is our tropical cyclonic rainfall. This is our frontal cyclonic rainfall. Frontal cyclonic rainfall, we have discussed there can be two types of rainfall based on which is the type of front. There can be different types of rainfall associated with this cold front, and there can be different types of rainfall associated with warm front. We have discussed all these particular things. Then we have discussed about this western disturbances, right? How it affects India, which is the area it is affecting India. Okay, we have discussed this area also. Then we have discussed tropical cyclone, right? No need to explain much now. We have covered all this particular aspect. This area, you can clearly see the distribution of tropical cyclone. These are the tropical seas, right? And in this tropical sea, which is the area which is most of. Now, if you can see this figure clearly, please see there is a very important point to note in this figure, and that is, please check here, the southern Atlantic is free of tropical cyclone. As we generally say that tropical cyclone is a common feature of tropical seas, and please remember, not all tropical seas, and in that not all, please remember the southern portion of Atlantic is relatively free of tropical cyclones. Can anybody tell why? What is the reason that southern Atlantic is relatively free of tropical cyclone? You can answer. You can message, you can unmute and answer anything.
Westerly, sir.
No, not westerly. Yes, please. Southern Atlantic, why is it relatively free of tropical cyclones? Can I say there is no tropical area? No, there is also, you have tropical area in the Southern Atlantic as well. So why you don't have rainfall? Why you don't have tropical cyclone there? Ocean currents, relatively continuous ocean. So yes, fine. Two answers came and we can combine them too. One, Amrita, your answer on relatively continuous ocean. So less high temperature. What does that mean? The meaning is, you can see this area here, the continentality or marginality is relatively less. The ocean is relatively open. Indian Ocean, they are relatively continental. Continental water bodies, they heat up very fast, but here it is relatively open. So when it is relatively open, you can say that the temperature rise will be relatively lesser in this case. That is one thing. Second point, Padma's answered ocean current. That is again perfectly correct. You can see we have discussed something known as a current known as your what is this current? I forgot this name. With this island was Falkland Island. Yes, this is your Falkland current somewhere coming here, and this area you have another current which is my Benguela current. Remember, so this is my Benguela current. These cold currents, they relatively moderate the temperature of this area, so the temperature does not rise too much in this area. You can even say that there is cold current in this area. Yes, you have cold current in this area. That's why you don't have cyclone here. And here, see, this is the tropical sea, but it is on the eastern side of the sea. See, this is my Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean, the eastern side, eastern side, you have Canary current in this area. As a result of that, temperature remains relatively cooler. So as a result, you don't have tropical cyclone. So please remember, whenever you get such questions, the first thing, if you don't have studied it anywhere, right, there can be different statements. So if you have not heard about such thing, please first of all go to the basics. What is the basics? You have to remember what is the condition for the origination of tropical cyclone. What is that condition? That condition is the sea surface temperature. So sea surface temperature is if it is increasing beyond a certain limit, that is your 27 degrees, you can get cyclone. Beyond that, below that, there is relatively less chances of cyclone. Similarly, Pacific Ocean, the eastern part of Pacific, southern hemisphere, there is relatively no cyclones, but western side, that is your near Australia, you get cyclones, right? Here you have huge amount of marginal land masses. As a result, you have cyclones here, but in the eastern side of Pacific and almost the southern side of your this Atlantic Ocean, you don't have cyclones. So please write one thing there in the in your continuation of that cyclone, the areas where cyclones are never formed. So please write the areas where cyclones are never formed. First one, it is, I'm mentioning about tropical cyclone, okay? Tropical cyclone means I will be dealing with only those areas that is within 30 degree north and 30 degree south. I'm not mentioning about northern side. Within tropics, cyclone that is the area we are mentioning. First one you can mention between 5 degree north and 5 degree south. Between 5 degree north and 5 degree south. And I hope that is very clear. Coriolis force avadilla, because near your equator, we said discussed in the last class, near the equator there is no cyclones. Now please remember, I got a question from a student, I don't remember the name now. I got a question that he mentioned that he read it somewhere, and it was true that you might have heard about this cyclone Fani, right, which attacked this Australia last year. Not last year, this year, right? So this cyclone Fani, this cyclone, regarding the cyclone, he asked that this cyclone Fani was originated somewhere near 2 degrees in this area, somewhere near 2 degrees. This is the area where cyclone Fani was originated. So how is that possible? Right, cyclone Fani was originated. The question was, cyclone Fani was originated somewhere near the 2 degrees. How is that possible? As we have studied, cyclones can never be formed near the equator. So the answer is very simple. Cyclone Fani originated here. See, that is not a cyclone in this area. We studied last class that some local low pressure area, depressions can be created wherever you have higher temperature. But that depression converts into a cyclone only when it comes under the Coriolis effect. So low temperature starts near the equator, right? So that points are there, no issue, right? So low temperature can start. 1 minute, let me check, is it from the class or not? Yes, the cyclone Fani. Cyclone Fani, please remember, it originated somewhere in this area, where somewhere near 2 degree or 5 degree. But when it originated there, it existed as a low pressure, simple low pressure. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ we can say it originated as a depression. But from there, as it started to move towards north, gradually Coriolis force started to come, and then they developed into cyclone. Somewhere here, it is somewhere around, we can say 20 degree latitude. The Coriolis force increases very much. As a result of strong Coriolis force, it becomes very strong in this area. I hope that is clear. So please remember, generally there is no cyclone in the cyclone is not found in near the equator, in between 5 degree north and south. But there can be origination of these depressions and all. Yeah. That is the thing. Second point, as you have, I can write here South Atlantic, and the third point you can write Southeast Pacific. Okay, so please remember these 3 areas where you don't have cyclones in the tropical. Okay, so is it clear? Shall I move further, everybody? Now we have discussed this temperate cyclone in details last class, right? I'm not moving into this. See, this was your cold front and warm front. That difference should be very much clear. We have seen different types of fronts. Then Yes, all these particular things we have seen. This was our temperate cyclones. It's different stages. Clear? And one more thing, I just have to show the distribution. Clear? This is what we have discussed in the last class, that the streams also affect the temperate cyclone. How we will discuss it today, maybe. Clear? So let's see. Last point. So this is the area. We have differentiated clearly. Green lines are tropical cyclones. The black lines are temperate cyclones. So this figure clearly shows the location of these two cyclones. Clear? Okay. Next thing is distribution of cyclone. You everybody know that the cyclones are formed in different seas. Indian Ocean, it is Indian Ocean, it is there. South China Sea, it is there. You have the Pacific Ocean, it is there. It is in the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean Sea area. In different areas, they are known with different names. Yes or no? So what are those different names? I hope most of you know. Clear? First, ഏറ്റവും basic is the Indian Ocean. Indian Ocean region, it is basically known as your cyclones. Yes or no? And second, can I say it is this area, that is the western side of Pacific, including that Japanese area, China area, this Philippines area. Here it is known as typhoon. Clear? That is also very clear. Third thing, don't write anything. I will give you some points here. So here and the next somewhere here, this is the area where it is Pacific Ocean, Caribbean Sea and all. Here it is known as your yes, it is what was the name? I forgot. It is your
Hurricane.
yes, very good. Hurricane. So this is your hurricane. Yeah, these are different names. And one more thing, Australia, here you have one more name. Can you name this area?
Willy Willy.
Ah, yes, Willy Willy. Yes, very good. So it is Willy Willy, right? And Willy Willy is the name used also for something else. I will just show you what is that. So please write few points there. First point. Because these days this climatology area may specifically the dynamic area, the question can be confusing. So please write these statements, otherwise you will forget. First statement, South China Sea, the name is typhoon. South China Sea, the name is typhoon. That is not the point that I am going to mention. In bracket star mark lady, the time period, it majorly developed between June to December. That is a very, that's why I asked you to write it. Clear? You have to remember this. The question is confusing. So South China Sea typhoon time, it generally comes between June to December. June to December. Next, you can mention about hurricanes. Hurricanes, you, as you mentioned, this area, that is your Pacific, Atlantic Ocean, the western side, Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico, that area. Hurricane. So hurricane time period generally August to December. Generally August to December. Hurricanes generally August to December. Next, you write North Indian Ocean. That is basically our cyclones. North Indian Ocean. North Indian Ocean. It is during May to November. It is during May to November. And please remember the time period that we are using is majority of the period. That we cannot say outside this time there is no cyclones. There can be, but majority of them come during this time. Yeah. So North Indian Ocean, it is your May to November. Next, South Indian Ocean. South Indian Ocean. It is January to March. It is South Indian Ocean means this area. You can see this Madagascar belt, this particular area, South Indian Ocean. It is between January to March. I hope why you know that, because it is a southern hemisphere. Southern hemisphere, the summer is during the winter of northern hemisphere. So during them, there's January to March, they are having winter season. That's why they have cyclones during that time. So please remember, Southern Ocean, Indian Ocean, Southern Ocean, Madagascar near about cyclone. It is during our winters. Their summers, that is January to March. Next, you can mention that Southern Pacific, Willy Willy. Southern Pacific, Australia coast area, Willy Willy. Can you tell me which months? Is it after June? Is it during our summer or our winter? Willy Willy. The time period will be our summer or our winter. You don't need that much time for this, right? First, you can just unmute and answer. Yes, our winter, right? So our winter. So the time period you can mention, it is January to March. January to March. Okay, last thing, we'll just discuss a small point here. You can do slight homework there. Now, there was a question in UPSC, I don't remember the year, that they asked regarding the naming of cyclone, right? So what is that? How are cyclones named? So why are they named like that? There were some trolls and everything that cyclone Umfan Vannu, right? Can we change the name? The pronunciation is very much right, awkward. So what should we do? So how is it done? So please remember, the naming of cyclone, basically the primary aim of this naming of cyclone is to manage it well. right? In a local area, how we can manage it. So if a name is famous in a local area, then such names can be, the people in the local area should be familiar with those names. So such names can be helpful in managing it very well, because everyone don't know what is typhoon, everyone don't know what is hurricane, but a local name angle, they can be familiar with those particular things. So that was the aim, management. I don't know how much that is achieved, right? That purpose is achieved. So let's see here. First thing is how it is named means you have a set of selected names, right? Phony, your own phony, and you have a set of list, and in a particular region, and one after one you keep on, you have a particular list on the next name is already fixed. Before onset of your next cyclone, the name is already fixed. Once the list is completed, they will again start with the first name. So already you maintain a list in a localized area. ആരൊക്കെയാണ് ലിസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത്? ആ റീജിയനിലുള്ള കൺട്രീസ് എല്ലാം കൂടെ ചേർത്ത് എല്ലാവരുടെയും പേരുകൾ ചേർത്ത് ഒരു ലിസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കും. ആ ലിസ്റ്റിൽ നിന്ന് they will just go one by one, where whatever the cyclone comes, the name is already fixed. But sometimes it becomes difficult, right? This it can be difficult for us in India to understand, but maybe in the nearby area that can be easy for them to understand. There are certain issues, so please remember about naming few things. The main purpose of different in the way how we name it is to manage it properly, so that it can transmit well toward to the local community. That is the main purpose. But there are issues, right? So, and how that is named, you have you're naming it from the out of a selected list of cyclones. That is how it is done. You just have to know, not that much in details, right? No one is going to ask you now again. That question is not going to be repeated, I guess. Yeah, not that much important. So leave that. So that is how it is done. So we are done with that area. Now we will cover some minor areas associated with this belt, right? That is our dynamic climatology. Minor area. When I say minor area, they include thunderstorm, they include maybe lightning, they include cloudburst, they include your tornadoes, and they include your water sprout. So let's cover this much area before we enter into our jet streams. Clear? So these portions can be directly linked with our already covered portion. Now I say they are minor topics because you can easily understand it, but as they are part of your dynamic climatology, or as they are part of your atmospheric disturbances, naturally their importance is very high. So cherry topic anengilum, you can get questions in the your mains answers or prelims statement wise questions. So their understanding is crucial, right? Cherry topic anengilum, you have to understand them very well, because generally see your exam static climatology in the questions were in the case of corona. Static is your basics. With that basic, you have to understand rest of the things. So generally, as I said, these are dynamic areas, small areas, they can be important. So please try to understand them first. I will give you some points. Don't write anything now. I will give you points to write. That will be better so that you can remember it in later. So let's first discuss thunderstorm. So what is this? So we'll cover this. I will give you some notes, basic, some points. We'll just discuss that. Then we will move into the cloudburst. First is thunderstorm. What is thunderstorm? Anybody? Yes, any idea? You can unmute and answer if you know. What is thunderstorm? Can I say idivattu maya? Yes. Can I say idivattu maya? Yes, in Malayalam. Yes. So what is that thunderstorm? Idivattu maya. So when do you get this idivattu maya in Kerala? Is it during the monsoonal season or sometime else? I expect you to answer, right? If you know, you can unmute and answer, no issue. Clear? Class of mic mute. Yes. If I don't ask question and the class is just one-way communication, class becomes very boring, right? So other than monsoon, yes, one answer came, other than monsoon. But please remember, right? That time, yes, April is very good. April our time, October our the reason is you have localized heating, excessive localized heating results into convectional rise. The convectional rise, air because of change in temperature. So rise, which is the type of cloud you get? Which is the type of cloud you get during that convectional rainfall? Yes, just name that cloud. Cumulonimbus. Simple. That is your this thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is a localized phenomenon which results into cumulonimbus cloud. That's it. Why you get cumulonimbus cloud? Because the moisture rises too much. When will the moisture rise too much? It can be first thing, it can be orographic, right? Orographically, I cannot say that there is no rise in moisture. There can be rise in moisture because of orography also. A mountain slope results into updraft of the moisture. That is possible. But again, temperature is also a resultant thing. Temperature increases during summer, maybe March, April. What happens? Excessive heat results in strong rising of your air column, moisture column. That results into formation of cumulonimbus cloud. So simply thunderstorm a strong cumulonimbus cloud that results into very heavy rainfall and everything. That is known as your thunderstorm. Now please remember, we'll just show you this particular thing. When you it's simple, but when you write an answer, you can break it into different stages, right? So what are these stages? Thunderstorms, you can mention thunderstorms are associated with lightning and all everything. It is associated with cumulonimbus cloud. And please remember, most importantly, you can use the word draft. Draft means the upliftment here. Now, when I say the first stage, this is the first stage, second stage, and third stage. First stage, what happens is excessive rising of moisture is there. Initially, you get the formation of cumulus cloud, then gradually that will convert into, as it rises, it will convert into cumulonimbus cloud. In the first stage itself, it becomes cumulonimbus cloud. Okay. Now, the issue is how you can write a better answer in these areas is you can use the word draft. First stage, you can mention the updraft is very high. Updraft and the rising of moisture is very high in the first stage. That is your updraft. That is dominant. Updraft is dominant in the first stage. As a result of that updraft, you will initially will get cumulonimbus cloud. As a result of strong updraft, gradually that will be converted into cumulonimbus cloud. That is your first stage. Cumulonimbus cloud means it's a heavy rain-bearing cloud. In the upper portion, you have ice and everything because it is too high, and in the lower portion, you have rainfall and everything. You have water particles. Now, second stage you can mention the cloud is fully developed now. As a fully developed rainfall, we have discussed about this latent heat of condensation. Latent cloud formation, what happens? Latent heat of condensation is released. As a result, the temperature is increased. That further helps in increasing the rate of evaporation. So second stage, both process simultaneously goes on. What is both process? One is your updraft. Why? Because of this cloud formation, latent heat is released, temperature increase, evaporation coodnu. As a result, updraft continues. But what happens is the cloud becomes very heavy. Water droplet, rainfall formation condition, how the drops grow in size, they accumulate other drops and gradually fall to the surface. The gravity event rainfall. So here, gradually they start to fall down. That is second stage. You have to just remember one thing: updraft plus downdraft, both simultaneously happens in the second stage. Third stage, updraft almost stops, entire downdraft that is your third stage. This is how you have to explain this particular thunderstorm. That's all. 3 stage light explain. So see, it's a simple topic, but you can explain them in different stages, right? That is your thunderstorm. This is your formation of thunderstorm. Initially, you have this is your updraft, this is your downdraft, this is your final stage of formation of cloud. See, I can generally, technically, we use a word that once thunderstorm is matured, and a cumulonimbus cloud is matured, its shape is anvil shape. What is anvil? Anvil the top will be relatively larger, flat area. Anvil shaped, fully matured thunderstorm cloud. You can remember that. It's very simple. Same thing, different stages: updraft, first stage; second stage, updraft plus downdraft; third stage, downdraft. That's how you have thunderstorms. Is it clear? Shall I dictate? Everybody? It's better if I should say you turn your video. From next class, I will do one thing, right? I will ask you to turn on the videos. There is no idea about it, right? Let's see. Write down. Yes. Anyhow. So let's start. Yes. Okay, fine. Yes, notes are up. Write down. Thunderstorm. Write down thunderstorm. These are local atmospheric disturbances. These are local atmospheric disturbances. These are local atmospheric disturbances formed along with cumulonimbus clouds. Formed along with cumulonimbus clouds. Clear? Continue. These form when, they form when, they are formed when warm humid air rises. Warm humid air rises in an unstable environment. This instability can be caused by This instability can be caused by topography. As I said initially, topography can be resulting into this particular thing. This instability can be caused by topography. Second is presence of cyclone. Naturally, we know that cyclonic clouds are very huge. They are cumulonimbus clouds. Yes. So second point, because of cumulonimbus cloud, because of presence of cyclone, or due to intense heating, or due to intense heating, or due to intense heating. So please remember, this is the reason. Local atmospheric disturbance it results into cumulonimbus cloud and why you have this atmospheric disturbances. 3 reasons because of this unstable environment, because of 3 reasons. It can be because of mountain barrier orographic, it can be because of cyclonic rise, or it can be because of excessive localized heating. So that's it. Clear? Now please star mark little point. Correct. If it is seen near the mountain slopes, if it is seen near the mountain slopes, if it is seen near the mountain slopes, that means if clearly they are meaning that if the rise is because of your orography, that is mountain or slope rise slope cumulonimbus cloud undaki, what happens? There are chances of cloud burst. So right now it can result into cloud burst. If it is seen along, it is developed along the mountain slope, it can result into cloud burst. We will discuss cloud burst, don't worry. So please remember that if it develops along a mountain slope, it can result into cloud burst. Second point, if it is developed along a front, remember cold front, cold frontly you can have a chance of development of cumulonimbus cloud because the front was very steep. As a result, the cloud forms very fast, right? So if it is developed in the near the fronts, it can lead to star mark. It can lead to supercelled thunderstorm. Supercelled thermal storm, supercelled thunderstorms can lead to supercelled thunderstorm, and bracket tornadoes. Supercelled, I repeat. Second point if it is developed along front and cold front basically. If it is developed along the front, it results into supercelled thunderstorm. Supercelled thunderstorm. A supercelled thunderstorm is tornadoes. So bracket you can write tornadoes. So last point I just divided into 2. First, if it is generally seen on the mountain slope side, orography angle, it results into cloud burst. That is, thunderstorm is developed along the mountain slope, that can result into cloud burst. Second point, if it is developed in the frontal interaction area, that is cold front develop angle, we generally get supercelled thunderstorm, which is also referred as your tornadoes. Is it clear? Now please remember, write down origin and development of thunderstorm. Origin and development of thunderstorm. Origin and development of thunderstorm. Just 3 stages you have to mention. Answer writing, that's it. Origin and development of thunderstorm. First point, first stage you can write cumulus stage. First stage you can mention cumulus stage. First stage is cumulus stage. So what you will mention in this stage? Updraft. This stage is dominated by strong updraft. You have to remember that. This stage is associated with strong updraft. That is strong upliftment of moisture. Strong updraft. As a result, gradually, you can write if you need, as a result, gradually the cumulus cloud transformed into fully matured cumulonimbus cloud. As a result, because of strong updraft, that is, as a result, this cumulus cloud can be fully developed, can be converted into fully developed cumulonimbus cloud. That is our first stage. That is our first stage. Second stage, mature stage. Second stage is mature stage. Second stage is mature stage. So this stage is associated with both updraft and downdraft. Sorry, yes, both updraft and downdraft. So this stage is associated with both updraft and downdraft. This stage results in full development of cumulonimbus cloud. This stage results in fully developed cumulonimbus cloud with proper anvil shape. With proper anvil shape, this stage results into fully developed cumulonimbus cloud with proper anvil shaped. The head of the cloud is definitely ice laden. The head of the cloud is definitely ice laden. This is the most active phase of thunderstorm. Mature stage is active. So this is the most active phase of thunderstorm. This is the most active phase of thunderstorm. Third stage, dissipating stage. Third stage, dissipating stage. So you can simply mention these stages associated with strong downdraft, or downdraft only. This stage is associated with downdraft only. Clear? So gradually the cloud gets dissipated. So please remember, this is the particular thing that you this is your thunderstorm. Now please, we have mentioned that thunderstorm, if you're getting along a mountain, you are getting a chance of having this cloud burst. And if you're getting this particular thunderstorm somewhere near the frontal area, you get tornadoes or something. Now please tell me, if I talk about thunderstorm, it is a common feature of, yes, someone is asking to repeat. I will repeat. Okay, please wait, I will repeat. Okay, so my question is, thunderstorm is a common feature of which area? Is it majorly found in the tropical belt or temperate area? It's a question for you, can answer. I repeat, thunderstorm is a common feature of which area? Tropical or temperate? Yes, tropical. Fine. Temperate lo varam, but the chances are relatively less. Okay. Answer question and question thunderstorm is a common feature of which area? Is it tropical or temperate area? And the answer is tropical area. Temperature area vararundi, but it is rare. Ettom cool, it is associated with tropical area. That was the answer. Clear? Now Asifa, which is the answer point I have to repeat? Is the last stage, that is dissipating stage. Last point dissipating stage. Dissipating stage then which is it? Please tell me, which portion should I repeat?
Sir, mature stage, the head of the cloud.
Okay, head of the cloud is definitely ice laden or is ice laden. You have the formation of ice in that area. That's it. The head of the cloud is ice laden. That is what I said. Sound and quality issue. Is it clear, Pakka? Everybody? Clear. Okay. So that is all about your thunderstorm. Yes. Pakka, fine, good. So let's move into the next topic, that is cloud burst. Okay, 1 minute. Cloud burst just lightning on the carnage water. Just check it here. Lightning, then thunderstorm. Yes, fine. Thunderstorm, lightning. So please remember, lightning, it's a complex topic, but still the most common idea, that is the most accepted belief, is development of certain charges in the clouds. Clear? Kochile school we had a concept that thundering or lightning is because of collision of clouds. So idea, if you still keep it with you, that thundering and lightning is a result of collision between two clouds. So please remove that particular idea from your mind, because we all studied like that in the childhood. So that is not the issue. The most accepted thing till now is generally the scientists, they believe that there are development of certain charges in the cloud, basically in the cumulonimbus clouds. Clear? If you have that, I have noticed this particular thunderstorm, right? That you experience it in basically two ways. One type of that is, which is you experience it very high. That is, bass sound. That is, it's not too much frightening, right? The sound comes from very high. You can experience that. The bass is very high. Clear? And sometimes you have noticed that it is just falling nearby. It's treble strong sound. Yes or no? So you have basically two types. One set of type of lightning is you hear it very high. Second set of lightning is you hear it on the ground. So two types of lightning. So how they are developed. So most accepted belief, you just have to know this particular area. That is, there is a general accepted belief. There are different types of development of charges in the clouds. When there are two different types of, then the lightning happens between two different types of clouds, different types of charges within the cloud. This is your high level lightning that you experience very high. That is, lightning is like you are experiencing this lightning. Lightning sky glows and you get small sounds, right? That is very high level lightning. You are not experiencing directly. So that is, lightning is happening between the clouds. There can be different types of charges developed between the lower and higher level, and as a result you get different types. And now don't ask me why you have these different types of charge here, why you have negative, why you have positive. Leave that aspect, none of our business, right? So it is generally linked that there are different types of development of clouds. It is noticed that as a result you have lightning development in the cloud. And sometimes basically in the drier condition, and the dry say that excessive rainfall condition it is not during monsoonal seasons. Basically in the drier conditions, maybe our venal and the ground remains relatively dry. During that time, we have seen the same opposite charge is developed on the ground sometimes in some areas. As a result, you experience lightning between the lower part of the cloud and the ground surface. And this is the most dangerous type of lightning associated with us. Death, danger, these accidents, right? So please remember, lightning is a result of development of different types of clouds in the different types of charges in the clouds. If the charges are developed within the cloud, it results into very high level lightning and thunders. And if a charge is developed or interacting between the lower part of cloud and the ground, that results into very dangerous type of lightning and thunders. So that's all you have to remember, different types of development of charges. That is the answer. So you can just remember it from this slide. I guess there is no need to write anything. That is your lightning. Same thing, you can see it can be between different clouds as well. You can see it here clearly. So please remember, it is associated with different charges. That's it. Okay. So this portion is done. Now let us understand cloudburst. Now cloudburst I will give you to write, don't worry. It's a very simple concept. Anybody, if you know what is cloudburst, you can answer. You can try to answer. You can unmute and answer if you need. What is cloudburst? You might have heard about that Uttarakhand area had experienced cloudburst that resulted into landslides. So what is cloudburst? Excessive rain in a short span. Yes, very good, very good. Yes, excessive rain in a short span. Maybe 20 centimeters of rainfall within few hours. Suddenly maybe 20 centimeters within 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, right? Maybe 30 centimeter. So more than about 20-30 centimeter, and you get a strong rainfall within a short amount of time. That is known as your cloud burst. It does not mean that chala concepts students doubt cloud burst means is it associated with that folding of the cloud? No, cloud does not fall. You have rainfall, normal rainfall, but please remember, during a cloud burst, generally size of the droplets are relatively higher. Why? We will explain. During cloud burst, generally the size of droplets is relatively larger. Now please remember, what is a cloud burst? Remember, I just have mentioned when we were discussing thunderstorm, I have mentioned if you are experiencing this thunderstorm somewhere near the slope of a mountain, we can get cloud burst. Yes or no? So let's see what is that particular thing. Suppose this is a mountain. Suppose this is a mountain. Now suppose this is the wind direction. As a result of that, moisture is rising in this particular column. Now suppose I am getting a strong development of a cumulonimbus cloud in this section. I am getting a development of a strong cumulonimbus cloud in this section. Generally we draw the bottom of the cumulonimbus cloud is relatively flatter. Yes or no? This is my bottom. So I am getting a strong cumulonimbus cloud at the mountain slope because this is the windward side of the mountain. So I am getting a strong cumulonimbus cloud. Now please remember, now because this is a mountain in this area, the updraft sometimes becomes very strong. If wind is strong, mountain the updraft becomes very strong. Updraft updraft, you remember, the rising updraft, the rising moisture updraft. So updraft becomes very strong. Okay. So when I say the updraft is very strong and you have already developed this cumulonimbus cloud, Please remember two situations. That is, I'm just mentioning about the transition between the first and second stage, or you can consider it as a second stage. Excessive updraft. Why? You have a mountain slope. So the updraft is very strong in this case, and gradually you have the development of cumulonimbus cloud. And still the updraft is very slow. Cumulonimbus cloud ready ayitundu, and still you have this updraft which is very strong. Now, when you have a development of cumulonimbus cloud, can I say the water, these water droplets form gradually water droplet rainfall the droplet size gravity increases, size it will start falling down. So these drops will start falling down, and as they fall, they will accumulate the surrounding moisture as well. Gradually their sizes will increase. The sizes will increase. Now they are here. Okay, these huge droplets, they fell from above, carrying other droplets. The size has increased. They are about to fall from the cloud. They are still at the base of the cloud. They are about to fall. Now please remember here, cloudburst on the situation, rainfall, the situation here is you have very strong updraft. Yes or no? As a result of very strong updraft in this case, what happens is the droplets which is trying to fall down, that is getting obstructed. That is, the heavy drops, they are trying to fall down because of strong gravity. Updraft is very strong. That is, you have two opposite forces, right? Even the drops updraft and that is happening here. So as a result of very strong updraft, what happens is the droplets, it gets stuck at the base of the cloud. Cumulonimbus cloud in the base droplets, they get stuck there. Clear? So it remains there. Now, because of reason unknown means we don't have proper reason. Maybe even the air weak can be number of reasons for that. Because of any of the reason, if updraft stops or weakens, what happens? Mainly nulla force kodum, and suddenly these accumulated droplets accumulate because they were not able to fall because of the strong updraft weak. What will happen? These accumulated drops will start falling down. These accumulated drops in this area will start falling very fast downward, and that result into cloudburst. So I repeat, what is cloudburst? Cloudburst is associated with a thunderstorm where you have a very strong updraft. Clear? As a result of very strong updraft, the water droplets that is falling down, it gets obstructed at the base of the cloud. The strong updraft, it resists the falling droplets. As a result, the droplets gets accumulated at the base of the cloud. Now, because of some reason, whatever may be, if the updraft weakens, what happens? The entire droplets that already got accumulated at the base of the cloud will start falling very fastly, and that is referred as cloudburst. Is it clear? If it is clear, we'll start. I'll give you a small note for it. Is it clear? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Please answer. Cloudburst is a phenomenon where very heavy rainfall takes place. In a short point of time, or in a short span of time. In a very short span of time. For example, 20 centimeters of rainfall in few hours. For example, 20 centimeters of rainfall in few hours. When I say 20 centimeter in few hours, 20 centimeter please remember there are some of the areas in India which receives 20 centimeter for the entire year's quota. 20 centimeter rainfall we have in India. 20 centimeter within few hours is a relatively large amount of rainfall. Yeah? Okay. Continue. Cloudburst represents an intense type of thunderstorm activity. Cloudburst represents an intense type of thunderstorm activity where the instability in the environment, is facilitated by, where the instability in the environment is facilitated by the presence of steep mountainous and hilly slopes, by the presence of steep mountainous and hilly slopes. Thus, cloudburst is primarily associated with, hilly and mountainous region. Hilly and mountainous region. It is a result of very strong updraft. It is a result of very strong updraft. If you need, you can draw that figure. You remember that figure I have drawn? Yes, you can draw this figure if you need, right? In this area, you can draw it and show here that the droplets getting accumulated at the base of the cumulonimbus cloud. You can draw it. So please take it. Base properly varayanai. Line on the manda, just give it a drop accumulation. And why? Because of strong updraft. I hope you can do it. Please tell me when done. We'll continue. As the water droplets in the cumulonimbus cloud starts receding, as the water droplets in the cumulonimbus cloud start receding, start downdraft, start downward movement, it gradually enlarges in size. It gradually gets enlarged in size. It gradually gets enlarged in size. And by the time they reach the base of the cumulonimbus cloud, and by the time they reach the base of the cumulonimbus cloud, their size becomes very large and they become heavy. Their size becomes very large and they become heavy. Now star mark. However, they are unable to fall further. However, they are unable to fall further. However, they are unable to fall further downwards. Unable to fall further downwards due to the existence of very strong updraft. Due to the existence of very strong updraft. Due to the existence of very strong updraft. They remain hanging at the base of the clouds in the air. They remain hanging at the base of the clouds in air. Continue. At certain point of time, if because of any reason, the updraft becomes weaker the updraft become weaker or stops suddenly. If at any point of time the updraft becomes weaker or stops suddenly, it results the already formed and accumulated large size. It results the already formed and accumulated large sized precipitation droplets, to fall at very high velocities. This causes large amount of precipitation in a very short span of time. This causes large amount of precipitation. In a very short span of time. These cloudbursts can be highly devastating. It can lead to flash floods or it can result into landslides. Along the slopes. It can result into flash floods or landslides along the slopes. So that is all about your cloudburst. I hope it's clear now. Okay. So see, it's a very simple topic, but I'm dictating note in this area because generally dynamic portion question varum, and you feel that we know that, but you don't get anything to write. Clear? So naturally, when you have such situation, easy area, you need that important points structure. That's why we are giving that particular note. I hope it's helpful. Clear? So that is again done. Thunderstorm, cloudburst, lightning, all these portions covered. Next one is tornado. 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 Okay, so tornado, not giving too much importance to it because again it's a highly dynamic and complex topic and a relatively less understood one. So we won't give too much importance. Just we will see the characteristics of this particular tornado. Tornado, what are the things we see in a tornado and which are the areas you get to see this tornado. So these are some basic area we'll discuss about tornado. So again, I think no need to write. I will give a few points to write. We'll just understand it with these slides, then we will try to write it. Now please tell me, is it same, that is tornado and cyclone, are they same? Tornado and cyclones, are they same? Is this you are getting number of questions somewhere, right? Test series questions I have seen, there are certain printed notes where I have seen these tornadoes are other names for cyclone. We can say it is a low pressure system, but basically no, it is properly no, right? Tornadoes hari no, I have seen that, but there are differences, right? Tornado no varayumbo is strong, is vyathyasam in the formation, right? Basically, when I talk about this cyclones, basically നമ്മുടെ cumulonimbus cloud ഇത്രയും strong ഒരു condition form ചെയ്യുന്നത്, it is associated with our tropical area. Temperate area we have seen the cyclone develop means there are different types of front development. There is strong cumulonimbus cloud a strong wind. But when you see this tornado development, it can result through a frontal interaction. We were discussing thunderstorm. Thunderstorm we have written 2 points. Thunderstorm along a mountain slope we experience it as a this now discuss one. We experience that is your cloudburst. This same thunderstorm either frontal activity lanangil, we generally say we get this tornadoes. Yeah. Now these tornadoes ne thanne nammal supercelled thunderstorm nu vilikkarundu. Supercelled thunderstorm. Now if you understand the difference between tropical cyclone versus temperate cyclone, the difference was, one of the major difference was tropical cyclone was highly intense. Yes or no? A strong low pressure system undavunu, avadna air rise cheyunu, maya peyunu. But temperate cyclone atrayum intense ayirunilla. Wind velocity slow ayirunnu. Wind velocity was somewhere around temperate cyclone 60 kilometers per hour. Tropical cyclone was very fast. But please remember, the tornadoes which developed as a result of frontal interactions, they sometimes result in very high velocity, even stronger than cyclones. Clear? So please remember, they are not our normal cyclones. They are a separate type of event that is known as your tornado. But please remember, that is not a different name. It's a different type of phenomenon, but it is relatively less understood. The develop we know that particular thing. Area we know that particular thing. Why it is not very much clear. So let's see. We will try to understand whatever is known regarding this particular topic. So see, now ideally when we study cyclone, we say that the air starts to rise up from the base, right? Because of higher temperature on the ground, the air gets heated, it starts rising, and this rising air rise because of this, you get a rotational movement because of Coriolis force, and in the middle you have a downfall, that is a high pressure zone. But here, initiation is something else. Origin tornado. The origin is, initially you have a very heavy or very strong cloud. That cloud is formed as a result of frontal interaction. We are not in the tropical area now, we are relatively higher temperate region land somewhere. In this area, because of this frontal interaction, suppose, but if that is your cold front or result, you are getting very strong cumulonimbus cloud, and sometimes the cloud becomes very strong and very intense in such case, and what happens is the cloud at certain points starts to grow downwards. So please remember, cyclones തുടങ്ങുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാണ്? താഴെ നിന്ന് മേലോട്ട് air move ചെയ്യുന്നു, that creates low pressure and that results into cyclone. But here the initiation is different. Initiation തന്നെ പറയുന്നത് what happens? Cloud initially downward movement ആണ് തുടങ്ങുന്നത്. Cloud becomes very heavy or something, maybe like that. Clear? So cloud becomes very heavy on something. As a result, the downward movement starts from the cloud. A narrow channel, it initially moves downwards. That's how it starts. Initially, figure lo alengil any videos if you have seen properly how it is starting is, it is a strong, suppose your cumulonimbus cloud. The cumulonimbus cloud in the base in the projection will start. Gradually, this projection will start growing. Gradually, this projection will start growing, and finally, it reaches the ground. So, please remember here, tornado it starts origin it starts from the base of the cloud and it extends towards the surface. That's how it starts. Clear? Now, it results into very strong rotation and everything. As a result, it creates a very strong low pressure in that area. Somehow it is there somewhere in the slide. So it falls down in the surrounding area of that downcoming channel. You have low pressure, and that low pressure in the now the air starts to rise. I have somewhere that clear slide here. You can see somewhere here. This is the area where it falls. The falls area, it gets disturbed in that area, and that area results into very strong low pressure. So the vortex which is coming, this is known as vortex. The vortex which is coming down, it falls on the ground, a very narrow channel, which results into high pressure in that area, but its surrounding area relatively becomes low pressure, and that low pressure will start sucking in the moisture, and now things become similar to cyclone. Or a tornado, this downward movement side or low pressure conditions are, and low pressure condition the surrounding air will start moving up, and surrounding air gushes in with very high velocity. Gush if you can see this area, the color is relatively ash-like color. Ash-like color moisture matravalla. The velocity is so high in that area that debris, dust particles, all these particles will start moving upwards. So that's how the tornado is. So I repeat, please remember, tornado and tornado, it is you have some, it is relatively an atmospheric disturbance, right? Like cyclone. But cyclone originates from the ground, but tornado, it comes from above. So from a heavy or a well-built cloud, a cold channel or cold vortex start descending downwards in a narrow channel. Surrounding of that narrow channel will be relatively low pressure, and that low pressure will attract the surrounding moisture, and that will start rising at a very high velocity, resulting into damaging wind and further growth of this particular cloud. That's how your tornado works. So please remember, it is slightly different with in comparison with respect to your cyclone. Cyclone tornado melinana adyam thodangi varuva. You have to remember that difference. I am just covering one simultaneous topic with that, something known as water sprout. These are tornadoes. These tornadoes are generally, see, even you can see cloud in the base, you can see a small tornado developing. Now these tornadoes are basically developed over land, but sometimes because of wind, this gradually moves into the water. Now when it enters water, because of strong attracting capacity, the side updraft movement is very fast. Because of the strong updraft, what happens is it sucks up the water from the water source. As a result, you can see a pipe, a tube of water rising upward. That is known as your water sprout. Clear? So tornado generally developed over land, and land in a movie the water low to angle, it sucks the water upwards, and that results into a pipe-like formation known as water sprout. So water sprout is a development of tornado moving into the water source. So that's how it happens. So is it clear? Till now, I'm getting a call. Let me check. Is it from the class or somewhere? Okay. Okay. 1:30 out. I will call back. Yes, fine. It's clear. That is your tornado. So please remember this much thing. Let's write this particular thing. Tornado basic notes. We don't require too much because First thing, basically, it is not associated with our monsoon or our atmospheric disturbances. It is basically seen in the North America. North America, remember squall line? How many of you remember squall line? Please answer. What is it? Squall line? Yes, squall line. I need the answer. Squall line. Hari answered. The area get too much rain suddenly. Okay, fine. Anything else? Even better answer you can give. What is squall line? Sudden rainfall in cold front area. Yes, very good. That is the key word there. So, we cold front ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു. Cold front pass ചെയ്യുന്ന ഏരിയയിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ temperate area strong heavy rainfall കിട്ടുക. And those areas are known as squall line. So, ഇതെവിടെ കിട്ടുക? നമ്മുടെ tornadoes develop along the squall lines in the North America. So, North America tornadoes develop ആവുന്ന സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ cold front develop ആവുന്ന സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ they are referred as squall line. So, squall line you can mention it in two ways. First, it is those areas in North America or US where you have very sudden or heavy rainfall as a result of cold front formation. Clear? Second, you can mention squall line is those areas where you experience tornadoes. That is also known as squall line. So remember that. Okay. So yes, right now, basic things. Just to write answers for something, add to your points. First point. They are local storms of short duration. They are local storms of short duration. They are ranked very high in terms of their destructive capacity. They are ranked very high in terms of their destructive capacity. They are violent windstorms. They are violent windstorms that take form of a rotating column. They are violent windstorms that take form of a rotating column of air. I repeat, they are violent windstorms that take form of a rotating column of air or vortex. A rotating column of air ne vortex nu parayuva. Rotating column of air or vortex that extends downward from the cumulonimbus cloud. That extends downward from a cumulonimbus cloud. Pressure within the tornadoes have been estimated very low. Pressures within the tornadoes have been estimated very low. The tornadoes can consist of a single vortex or multiple vortex. A single vortex or multiple vortex. Now, what is that? Multiple vortex എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു cumulonimbus cloud ൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഇവിടുന്ന് ഒരു ടോർണേഡോ ബേസ് ഇറങ്ങി വരാം. അതിവിടെ തന്നെ ചിലപ്പോൾ വേറെ ഇവിടുന്ന് ഒരു vortex ഇറങ്ങി വരാം. Can be multiple വരാം ഒരു strong വലിയ cloud ൽ നിന്ന്. There can be multiple vortexes. Clear? Ideally one വരുക, but multiple can be there. So that's it. Next you can write. They are also referred as supercelled thunderstorms. Supercelled thunderstorms. Their formation is basically associated with strong vertical wind shear. Strong vertical wind shear. Strong vertical wind shear. Now please remember one thing. If you remember, why did I say it is different from cyclone? One of the reason is this point. Ideally, cyclones develop on the conditions nammal paranjirunnu, and in that conditions we have mentioned that cyclones is basic conditions of the cyclone. You can check your notes. We have written it is basic. One of the basic condition is very there should not be very strong vertical wind shear. Vertical wind shear endara njan parne താഴത്തെ ലെവലിൽ വിൻഡ് ഒരു ഡയറക്ഷനിൽ പോകുന്നു അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു വെലോസിറ്റിയിൽ പോകുന്നു. അതിന്റെ മേളത്തെ വിൻഡ് അതിലും കൂടുതൽ വെലോസിറ്റിയിൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വേറെ ഡയറക്ഷനിലോട്ട് പോകുന്നു. It should not create a shear. They will move in a same direction or they should be stagnant relatively. That was the condition for development of a tropical cyclone. But here we have seen tornadoes are developing in those areas where that vertical wind shear is very, very large. What is what vertical wind shear? താഴത്തെ വെലോസിറ്റി and മേളത്തെ വെലോസിറ്റി നോക്കിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു സെയിം കോളമിൽ there will be huge difference in the velocity of wind. മേളിൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ നല്ല ഫാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും വിൻഡ് മൂവ് ചെയ്യുക, താഴെ അത്രയും സ്ലോ ആയിട്ടും അത്ര ഫാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് മൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. യു ഹവ് സീൻ ദാറ്റ്. ഐ ഹാവ് ഗിവൻ ദി എക്സാമ്പിൾ. ലുക്ക് ഇൻ ടു സ്കൈ. ക്ലൗഡ്സ് ഒരുപാട് കൂടുതലുള്ള ദിവസങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ നോക്കുക ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക്. ആൻഡ് യു കൻ ക്ലിയർലി നോട്ടീസ് ദാറ്റ് ദി ക്ലൗഡ്സ് ആർ മൂവിംഗ് വിത്ത് ഡിഫറെന്റ് വെലോസിറ്റീസ്. താഴത്തെ ലെവലിലെ ക്ലൗഡ് വേറെ വെലോസിറ്റിയിലായിരിക്കും മൂവ് ചെയ്യുക, മേളിൽ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ വേറെ വെലോസിറ്റിയിലായിരിക്കും, സംടൈംസ് ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് ആയിരിക്കും. യു കൻ സീ ഓൾ ദീസ് തിങ്സ്. So please remember here, tornadoes are associated with vertical wind shear, cyclone vertical wind shear vanda. So that's why I said there was a basic difference between them. They are not the same. Clear? Next, you can mention it is basically associated with the cold front area. It is basically associated with the cold front area. It is basically associated with the cold front area. Next, it is US where maximum tornadoes are noticed. It is United States where maximum tornadoes are experienced. It is US where maximum tornadoes are experienced. These areas are also referred as, the areas where they are frequently seen are also referred as squall line. The areas where they are frequently visible, or if you frequently experienced, are also referred as squall line. Squall line. Next, you can mention water sprout. Water sprout. Water sprout. It is primarily formed when tornadoes move over the sea surface. It is primarily formed when tornadoes move over the sea surface. It is primarily formed when the tornadoes move over sea surface. This phenomenon is common in temperate latitudes. This phenomenon is common in temperate latitudes. These are a rotating column of rising air. These are rotating columns of rising air. These are rotating columns of rising air, which also sucks the water along with it. Which also sucks the water along with it. Clear? So that is your water sprout. So we are done with tornadoes. So cyclones കഴിഞ്ഞു, thunderstorms കഴിഞ്ഞു, cloudbursts കഴിഞ്ഞു, tornadoes കഴിഞ്ഞു, and water sprout കഴിഞ്ഞു. So is this clear? This much? Fine. So next topic, write the heading upper air planetary winds. Upper air planetary winds. Next heading, upper air planetary winds. Now, what is upper air planetary winds? Here, please write 2 points. We'll cover 2 points under this upper air planetary winds. First, we'll cover upper air westerlies. First, we will cover upper air westerlies. Upper air westerlies. Second, we will cover jet streams. Second, we will cover jet streams. Okay. So let's see. So don't write anything. Okay. So let's basically try to understand these concepts. We have to understand something known as can be thermal wind. We have to understand geostrophic wind. We have to see the pressure gradient in the upper atmosphere. We have to see what is this upper air westerlies, and we have to see what is jet stream. Now please understand, these are highly complex topic, and any dynamic topic not time portion that is your upper air westerlies, and some jet stream you have to mention different types, so you will get need some time for that. Now, so we won't be able to complete that, right? Class and I won't do that because we have a function here. I have to go there. So we'll try to understand it, right? We can take next 10 minutes. You will understand. We'll leave it. So don't write. I'll just make a fast recap in the next class also, and we'll write it fast. Try to understand what is this particular. One thing, what is a thermal wind, right? Thermal wind in the meaning simply a wind which is generated as a result of temperature difference. That is known as thermal wind. Thermal wind means temperature difference as a result of that you are getting wind. For example, this is two surface, the temperature is surface chudai, this surface tanapana, so that's why it is a low pressure, it's a high pressure, wind starts blowing into this. That is your thermal wind. So most of these upper winds, that is our geostrophic wind, our jet stream, they are ideally thermal winds. Temperature difference കാരണം ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന wind ആണ് ഈ പറയുന്ന winds. You have to remember this particular thing. I will answer these particular things. Okay. Now, for a small concept നോക്കാം. What is geostrophic wind? Clear? So please remember, I will just show you a slide here. Okay, before that, let me just draw it. Then I will go into the slide that will make it more clear. Okay. Now, suppose this is my Earth. This is my equator. Okay. Now, please tell me, we know about different cells. You right? You know that, right? This one is meridional. This is your one is your Hadley cell. Somewhere here you have a polar cell. Sorry, Ferrel cell. Somewhere here we have a polar cell. These are different circulations. We have studied them. Clear? Hadley cell. We have studied Ferrel cell, and we have studied something known as polar cell. Now, when I mention about these cells, can I say these cells are formed in a way because of Coriolis force? Do you agree? One of the reasons behind the formation of these cells is Coriolis force. Can I say that? Only one? Rest? Is it doubt? Do you have a doubt? If you don't have doubt, please answer. If you have doubt, please tell me it's a doubt. Yes. So I hope it's clear. Okay. So one of the reason is Coriolis force. Reason. Ideally, this is my equatorial low pressure belt. We have studied, I'm drawing the cross section. Every low pressure on the ground has a high pressure above it. We have studied. Similarly, every high pressure on the ground has a low pressure above it. We have studied this particular thing. And then global circulation low to high. This is the global circulation. In that sense, dynamic conditions ellam kala, just you remember with thermal condition. When I remember thermal condition, this is my equator, which is a low pressure zone, and this is my pole, which is a high pressure zone. Yes or no? When I talk about the thermal condition, I just have these two areas. The equator being a warmer area has low temperature. The pole being a relatively cooler area, like cold area, remains at high pressure. So I have different pressure. And pressure I'm mentioning it on the ground. Yes. Now you have seen here, low pressure on the ground has high pressure above it. So can I say this low pressure on the ground has a high pressure here, that is above equator? Yes or no? Similarly, this high pressure at the pole on the ground has a low pressure above that. Clear? Now, how does the circulation go? Can I say from pole to equator, the air will move like this on the Earth's surface? And from here it will rise, and from this equator, high level wind will move into the pole. This is the ideal condition. It should move like that. Idana condition varandadu, but you are getting 3 cells instead of this one cell. You are getting 3 cells because of Coriolis force. Why? Because ingotu ponda wind endu seyunu it gets deflected. So avada mere ettan pattilla. So on the meantime it will fall down. So that's why you are getting these cells. If that is clear, can I say we have studied in the static portion, we have studied wind, and windly you have written 3 points that there are 3 forces which affect there are 3 conditions, 3 factors on which wind depends on. Clear? First condition, pressure gradient force. Second condition, Coriolis force. Third condition, friction. I hope all of you remember we have studied that in the static portion. The wind in the propagation, 3 sanamana affect cheyunne. One is pressure gradient force. Remember, high pressure, faster wind, high pressure, larger the pressure difference, faster the wind. Smaller the pressure difference, lesser the wind. We have studied pressure gradient force. Second, Coriolis force. When wind nere povumbo, it gets deflected because of a Coriolis force. If wind velocity is faster, effect of Coriolis force is much faster. Clear? Third thing, friction. Now please remember your geostrophic wind endanu avada namak explain cheya. Geostrophic wind is very simple here. Now if you understood till now, this is my equator and this is my pole, and I am talking about higher altitude. That is, this is my pole. Sorry, This is my pole. I'm talking about higher altitude, that is propose a location. This is my equator, this is my pole. Equator na meli kuda nammal ipo varacha figure il endanu kandathu, wind enganeyarunnu pondathu, from equator this wind should reach the pole. That means from this equator pressure gradient force engottana, this is the direction of pressure gradient force. Yes or no? Because this is the high level. Equator na melatha pressure endana, it is high pressure above the equator. Pole na melatha pressure endana, it's a low pressure above the pole. So pressure gradient force endana, it is from equator to pole in the higher altitude. Clear? Coriolis force engottana, the force, it is a southern, it is your northern hemisphere angle, Coriolis force will be towards right, and we know that if wind velocity increases, Coriolis force becomes very strong. Clear? So this is my pressure gradient force in this direction, and the Coriolis force in deflection engottayirikkanam, Coriolis force in deflection korchuda strong aayittu namakku avada parayananengil, it changes its direction. Suppose we generally say that the Coriolis force, wind velocity kudumam Coriolis force value kudum. That means, can I say if wind is relatively faster, Coriolis force can become 90 degree? For example, suppose wind fast aayittu ingotu ponu, right? Okay, leave it. Suppose this is the wind moving direction. Ideally, Coriolis force engotu deflect cheyum, ingotu deflect. Now, because of Coriolis force, if wind is moving like this, Coriolis force wind activate, it will try to pull towards this direction. Appo wind engotu ponu, ingotu ponu. So wind will move into this direction. Coriolis force engotu pull cheyum, Coriolis force again right, it will try to pull towards this direction. Again will try to move in this direction, Coriolis force will try to move towards this direction. So what happens? There comes a time when your pressure gradient force and Coriolis force, this direction is opposite. Coriolis force, they become in opposite direction. The actual wind direction will be perpendicular to them. This is the direction. Pressure gradient force ingot act cheyunu, Coriolis force ingot act cheyunu. Resultant of that, the pressure gradient force will the resultant wind will blow perpendicularly, right angle, 90 degree. And that is, such wind is known as geostrophic wind. And please remember, it is not a practical situation. It can happen. It's an ideal situation. In theory we say, practically perfectly namakku kittilla. So it's an ideal situation. So now try to understand it with the slides. Last topic, 2 minutes. Please wait. So this is the figure I initially drawn, right? This is the ideal condition, and ideal condition, this is my tropospheric, upper tropospheric wind equator in the pole. But what happens? See, pressure gradient force ingot ayirunnu. You can see if this is the pressure gradient force, Coriolis force ingot, Coriolis force ingot, Coriolis force 90 degree maarikondirikka. And a time will come when Coriolis force is opposite to your pressure gradient force, and in that time the wind will try to flow parallel to the latitudes, and that wind is known as geostrophic wind. And can I say this can be seen in the higher altitude only? Lower altitude now the wind velocity korvana, wind velocity korayumba athrayum strong Coriolis force avada varilla. Higher altitude wind velocity is very high, and we have clearly studied Coriolis force increases if the wind velocity increases. The wind velocity kudunona, Coriolis force becomes very strong and it equalizes almost. As a result, the wind starts moving into this direction. Such winds are known as geostrophic wind, and they are ideal wind. Is it clear? What is geostrophic wind? Is it clear? Fine. And write down. You can just write down what is geostrophic wind. The rest we'll deal with in the next class. You can write geostrophic wind. Slightly okay. End of the last class in the slide icon. And the Maranum boy pin icon this dynamic portions. I have an older slide of my climatology that I already have taken classes, but in this class I am doing some modifications, right? As a result, I'm doing continuously modifying these slides. But still, if you need, please remind me once again. I will just send it today. But I will again modify it because I'm continuously working on it, right? So, right, geostrophic wind. Wind that results from an exact balance between the Coriolis force and the pressure gradient force. The Coriolis force and the pressure gradient force. is known as geostrophic wind. Is known as geostrophic wind. It is directed parallel to the isobars. See, pressure lines in parallel. It is directed parallel to the isobars. It is directed parallel to the isobars. Ideally, wind move. See, what is the meaning? Wind move. Wind moves across different pressure. 512 is high pressure, 500 is low pressure. So 512 to 500, high pressure to low pressure. Wind direction. But because of this balancing force, it is moving in a same pressure line. It moves along an isobaric line. So this balance seldom holds exactly in nature. This balance seldom holds exactly in nature. This balance seldom holds exactly in nature. That is, practically, it is very rare. This is an ideal condition. So, rest will continue in the next class. So, if you have any doubt, you can ask, or if you are comfortable, you can say, is it clear everything? Please understand this much thing. These are the portions covered today. Cyclones, basic portions, left out. Then we have discussed thunderstorm, lightning, cloudburst, then tornadoes, water sprout, and just introducing the upper air circulation. Comfortable, everybody? Is it clear? Shall I stop? Okay. One minute. Very cherry figure. Clear. Now, I just mentioned that about Willy Willy, remember? So Willy Willy, generally we say it's another name for cyclone, but see, Australia generally dusty wind low pressure name Willy Willy vararundi. Clear? So please remember, if you get sentence statement wise question, please remember this is also Willy Willy idinum parayarundi. The dusty wind low pressure karanam kochile ground like kalikin samayathu kandu kanam ingane mannu podi parakkune. So Australia the dry area ingane chala events undavarundu. Adu name Willy Willy nu parayarundi. Clear? It's another name for cyclone, no doubt, but yes, ingane the dry wind name Australia area Willy Willy nu parayarundi. So just remember that also. Okay, done from my part. Shall I stop? Shall I stop? Okay. Thank you then. Okay, bye. Take care.